Do you think it is appropriate for the FBI to be sending agents, including counterterrorism agents, to the parents of children who went to school board meetings and asked about critical race theory in their schools, asked about the school's masking policy during COVID? Should those parents be treated as domestic terrorists?
Parents who have the courage to ensure their children are taught what they feel is right, and those who have the courage of their convictions to go houses of worship, in my book, will never be domestic terrorists.
I'm delighted to hear you say that. You're familiar, I am sure, with this memorandum issued by the Attorney General, the last Attorney General, Merrick Garland, directing the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to look into parents who went to these school board meetings. And we know from whistleblowers who've come forward to this committee and given us the evidence that, in fact, the FBI opened multiple cases against multiple parents across the nation, I believe, including in my home state of Missouri. Another gross abuse, incredible political power brought to bear against everyday citizens. Why? Because they went to a school board meeting that they're paying for and asked about what their kids were being taught. Once again, I can't imagine, I couldn't have ever thought this would happen in the United States of America. Will you find out who was involved in this policy within the FBI, who agreed with it, who implemented it, who encouraged it? Will you find out that, Mr. Patel? Will you do an internal investigation? And will you make clear that those who supported this policy are appropriately disciplined? And will you make clear that the FBI will never do something like this again?
If confirmed and pursuant to your congressional request, absolutely, Senator.
Thank you.
Hey, David, it's good to see you again, buddy.
It's good to see you, Kelly. What are you up to, brother?
Well, just about to get an offer on a new job, which is great, and doing my best to continue fighting for what's right. So
it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job, and I'm glad to hear that about the work. I know it's been hard for a lot of people to get back on their feet after what we've been through lately, but it's very encouraging, brother. I hope the best for you.
Well, thank you. And for our viewers, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and Stop Hate, David.
So Stop Hate is just a 30-something-year-old campaign to try to bring awareness that we all need to talk more and understand more about each other. It's an education process, communication, conversation, whatever. But it's better than being kept in the dark about how we really feel. It's like the negative effect of censorship. If you don't know how somebody feels, you don't know anything about them or how to react or whatever. It's not about feelings so much, but opinions and where you want the direction of the country, for an example, and what we believe in. And really the government has done everything they can to keep us from communicating with each other. And we've seen this, over and over in the media, in the government. Anytime the left and the right work together in harmony, it's a bad spot for the people. And now we see the media doing the same thing. One thing at Stop Hate we've tried to do is expose the truth about January 6th to a bigger audience. And it seems like the echo chamber, the restrictions on our reach have really played, a bad hand to us over the last 4 years as far as trying to get that information out. So it's been the real thrust of the last 4 years is 100% J6. I was there. My friends were there. We were all in a bad spot. And a lot like your story, Kelly, we fought this fight for 4 years. And, some people helped along the way. I'm not going to say they didn't, but for the most part, it went unnoticed by, the mainstream friends of ours that could have, should have, would have done something when it was unpopular. And now that it's popular, as we all know, that, oh, yeah, I've always been a huge supporter of J6 or of Kelly. Please come on the show and let us get some likes and clicks off of you. And then we'll, send you down the road and let you fend for yourself some more. It's really frustrating. And I think it's that cycle that everybody's starting to see now that is really critical for where we live right now.
Yeah, and if you're watching right now, I'll answer questions as I can directly in the comments. But once David has to leave, I'll stay on for a little bit and answer questions, go back and answer them right here on the camera. So you're right, David. And, what I've noticed is that starting in about 2020, there were some people who saw what was happening, were very aware of it, and decided to stand up for their country, decided to stand up for other people. As you know, we had a coffee shop in Tucson, Arizona, and people were coming to us asking for help. So
right.
I took a hard stand. Some people around the country did that. Some people lost their businesses. They even went after their kids. They left through everything they could at them. And I like to say, David, that was standing up when it cost the most. And some people got very, very good coverage. They were on Tucker Carlson or whatever at the time. Other people kind of labored in silence. And one thing I've noticed in the 5 years since, continuing this fight is there's, I think, I want to say it as positive here as I can, but I think you told me the term prostitutes. There are people who will cover things based on how sexy or trendy or timely it is. And I want to really encourage people to go more for issues and doing what's right. So one of the things, as you know, David, right now that I'm working on, I've worked on a lot of issues. And the reason I'm here is not because I'm somebody special or I've wanted to build a personal brand. It's simply because people came to me and asked me for help. So I decided what talents God has given me. I'm a writer. I ran an advertising agency. I know how to speak. I know how to deal with the press. So I jumped in with that, and I've been trying to help. But one issue I've been working on really hard, David, is the school parents who were targeted. I have, go to realfreedomtalk.com, look at my weaponization page. You'll see some videos and documents and things. David, I want to play a real quick 2-minute trailer that I made. We're still making a couple changes to it, but you'll get the idea here.
We're going to be talking about the persecuted parents, specifically from the COVID lockdowns. The parents were being persecuted. The students were being persecuted, coming from the top down.
Parents were coming, and kids coming to our coffee shop saying, look, these COVID policies are leading to our kids committing suicide, having mental health issues, physical health issues. People are coming to you desperate for help. You have parents crying on your shoulder. We had a kid in our neighborhood go out in the desert and shoot himself. The youth suicide was covered up because the school districts were getting money, and you're going to see what they did to our family and others as well.
We know right now that when it comes to the elite, when it comes to the globalists, they have and will continue to make parents specifically the enemy.
According to FOIA documents that I've received and the dates and the timeline, which we're going to go over, that is where John Carruth from the Vail School District got in touch with the National School Board Association. Merrick Garland and the Biden administration got involved, and then the FBI started hunting, monitoring, profiling parents. So put yourself in my place and my wife's place. People are coming to you asking for help. What are you going to do, especially if you're a Christian? Are you going to pass by on the other side? Are you going to hide and say, well, sorry for you, I'm just going to save my own skin? Absolutely not. The data was out there even at that time. So there's really no excuse for people to say, well, we were just doing the best we could with the information at hand. And you're going to see that I presented this information to the Vail School District, and they ignored it because they were getting millions of dollars. I've done digging. I've had 4 years to research this, and I have the emails where they communicated this, and this went all the way to the federal level. And these parents who are concerned because their children were being driven to suicide and mental health disorders, deprived of an education, instead of being listened to, they were attacked, and it was because of money.
This is where we need to get the truth out like never before, because the public is listening.
Strong trailer, Kelly. I can't wait to see the rest of that entire project. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a kind of a rough, just special report on it. It's 90 minutes. You can go to realfreedomtalk.com and watch that. But when I put that out, Sam Sorbo, Kevin Sorbo is her husband. She's been a real proponent for this. She's been very supportive. She suggested that maybe we could work on a real documentary on it. So I said, Sam, I have the capabilities. I run an advertising agency. I just don't have the money, and the time's hard to come by, but we're going to work on that. And that poster behind you, David,
we are happy to help with that project, and I'm glad you invited us in to be a part of that, man. And I think, safety in numbers, as we've shown and proven, over time, and especially through J6, but we have a new film that has just been released. And if you go to condemnedusa.com, condemned USA, I believe .com or .org, but condemned USA, and click on Pardon Us. There's a documentary. It's the first tab at the top of the menu. So Pardon Us Justice for All is the full name, but click on that Pardon Us tab at condemnedusa.com and check it out. It's all about the pardons for the January 6th, why it was a necessity, the weaponization of this government. And you'll see in that film, Kelly, where it discusses the situation that you were a part of, where Jim Jordan's in there talking about not just the J6ers, but the school parents, the people, the just Trump supporters that have been targeted by this government. Now, how can you do that and get away with it? If I were to kidnap a federal judge and hold him in my basement for 4 years and torture him and then be forced to release him back into the wild, they're not going to let me walk away from that. You know what I'm saying? But these judges tortured people to death and they are walking away scot-free. We had over 10 suicides in our community from people that were scared about going to prison or going to court or things for they weren't guilty of. So everybody check that film out. There's links all over stophate.com or our social media, Help Stop Hate, but at X, or Make America Stop Hate on Instagram and others. But please go to condemnedusa.com and share that documentary so people understand what we went through and why. And it will help shed light on Kelly's story and every other weaponized top report that you've seen over the last decade of how they're just coming after Christians and conservatives and parents and the nuclear family. So Kelly, I'm excited to be a part of your project. I think that's going to be an amazing film for people to understand just how deep and involved the government as terrorist. And when you think about the definition, I challenge people, go to Google, look up terrorism or terrorist, and it says the use of violence or intimidation, especially against citizens, for
Yeah.
political aims. Now, by definition, we are not the terrorists and never have been. It's always been the government about terrorizing the people into submission of what the government really wants from us or for us. So please pay attention to the signs, folks, if y'all are watching this, and follow Kelly and be watching. We're going to work on this documentary and see what we can put out as fast as we can, because it's necessary to get this administration's attention up front in the beginning and have them have plenty of time to work on this, because it's a really deep subject and it's really hard. The warfare, the lawfare, and the wordfare. When you take guys like me or Kelly, okay, we're big, tall, strapping looking young men, but we're not about violence or hurting anybody. But they always, oh, well, you're big and you're intimidating, you're strong and you're this and that. I love Kelly's line when they grab him, you're resisting. No, I'm just strong. And that's it. There's a point where you have to just make a stand and say, I'm not going to budge anymore. I'm not going to move. My feet are planted. This is the hill I die on. And more people need to get involved with that, Kelly. I appreciate you letting me be a part of it, brother.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you a part of it. And these are some pictures on the top left. There's my first arrest when I said that I'm not resisting, I'm just strong.
That's
you can
right.
see, you can see this that one of my followers made me really great artist. In the middle there is John Amonchukwu. He's been an activist against these smutty children's sex education books that he'd get up and read them in the school board, and the staff didn't want to hear it. And when he was arrested not too long ago, I texted him and said, "Hey, welcome to the handcuff club. You're
That's right.
in here." But
That's right.
and then hold that thought for a second. On the right is a flyer that was put all over Tucson, saying that I'm a terrorist, trying to boycott my business. Of course, Tina Peters in the bottom left, who's still sitting in prison. Jennifer Mahuta in the middle on the bottom there, who was arrested, she and her 16-year-old daughter and her husband, for the egregious crime of demanding documentation as to why they were taking her healthy child out of school. And then on the right, I forget the gentleman's name, but in Virginia, he was arrested. So David, go ahead. What you were going to say?
I was just going to say, I wish I had more time to stay right now and get into this. It's a topic, man. It's so important. And once you get, I think, the passion kicked off and the interest up, people really need to be personally involved. We always talk about action and saying do something. And I promise you, brother, if I didn't have an engagement this evening, I would stay and visit. I just want to encourage people that see this. Look, if you like what we're talking about, you want more from people, not influencers, people that you can hear the passion in their voice when they speak, when they get upset about things, not these copy paste influencer types that are paid to say whatever they say with it. We're tired of that. If this is something you like, please like, share, comment, converse with us, talk to us, tell us what we're doing or how we can help you or how you can help us. Let's really focus on being more of a family. While we have an opportunity to do it, it's really back to the basics, back to God, and back together, Kelly. It's the thing I always preach to people. And man, I look forward to exploring this deeper with you and get more and more information. But you're absolutely right. This has happened in so many different areas to so many different people that it's like the influencers do. There's 20 different influencers, so there's 20 different subjects for us to try to keep up with every day. If they could stay on point and say, okay, this week is abortion, next week is immigration, next week is and really get to do the deeper dives and get some real solid calls to action to, like J6ers, we're about to start hammering the phones again. So people go check out Suzanne Monk or others in the J6 community and see what's going on. There's calls to action. There's things that we can do where we don't just have to sit on our hands and wait, Kelly. And that's what I appreciate about you, taking the time, being motivated enough to do the work. And that's what some of these other higher ups, they like the money, they don't like being in the trenches, like Laura Loomer, doing the work, the grunt work, the research, the sweat, the tears, the pain. And these other people just want to take the credit and the glory and never talk about the things that we did to, no brag, just fact, to help put them in the positions they are. Every single person watching this has helped contribute to the success of those people. But then in turn, those people don't contribute to the success of the people. So it's really kind of a catch-22 for the whole thing, brother. But look, I want to schedule some times. Let's do some real good, intense conversational interviews and bring some other guests in here and see what we can do to fix some of these problems together.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely discuss it. If you have one more minute, I want to bring up one last thing. One thing I've worked very hard on for the last 5 years is making connections, meeting people who have influence, who have an audience. And it's funny because even some of those people have much larger followings than me say, wow, Kelly, you know everybody, and they'll come to me to make connections, which is great. Right. But, the first time I went to an America Fest in Phoenix, I didn't know people. I just started sticking out my hand. I was very persistent. And I didn't do it because I wanted to be a big shot. I did it because I felt a mission to go out and help people who had come to me asking for me to help. And so I know all the big players, really. And some are very helpful. Some are great. I want to mention specifically like Congressman Eli Crane. He's been amazing. He does everything he can. And, as we go on and talk, I'm going to talk about the positive examples. But there are other people. They have huge audiences. You see them all the time. I'm just trying to figure it out because you can come to them with a very simple thing and say, hey, I can help a lot of people with this. Would you please share this? And they won't do it. If you want to share something about them or you do something about them, they'll share it. But I'm just really mystified because, when it's in your power to do good and you don't do it, that's wrong. And I'm not talking about, because everybody who has a big name, people come to them with their pet papers and everything.
Oh, sure.
But I'm mainline here. Like I go on shows that are, and I'm a researcher. I'm a valid person. I do my research. I do work for the Epic Times. I've been in the Washington Times, all the rest. So I'm not necessarily just someone with a keyboard who wants,
Exactly.
Not to say that not everybody has something to say, but there are some of us who have, like, I spent a career writing media releases and finding out what's newsworthy. So I am qualified to speak. So don't blame it on me, but I'm saying, why do these people who have so much power and influence, and I come back to, like, they're running a business.
Yes. Unfortunately, that's the case. And they have higher ups that tell them who they can and can't talk to. Let's just be real. Same as politics, things we can and can't cover. Same as influencers, things we can and can't talk about. Media, we're not going there. This is the narrative that we're supposed to push. The repeat. And I want to really show people that without necessarily calling names or stepping on toes. But this is the reality that we've all been fighting against. We call it censorship. You can call it social terrorism. You can call it what you want. It's the reality of the cost, I think, to get information out to the public these days. So, brother, count me in. I appreciate your time today, man, so much. And I hate to blow and go out of here, but
no, it's
man, my
okay.
wife, if I'm late for this, my wife will get me, brother.
No, that's okay. And I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody who's watching, stick with us. Dave's got to leave, but we're going to continue this. So we'll just take a brief pause here and we'll be right back. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching tonight. I hope you'll share this little live episode. We're going to have more conversations on this, and I want to make sure that I'm staying positive. I don't want to name anyone or accuse anyone of anything, but the overall theme here is that we can't forget the average American. We can't forget the citizens. A lot of us have been waiting for Trump to get into office. A lot of us have waited for Kash Patel to be sworn in, Pam Bondi and others. And we're wondering, when did the arrests start? When did they start arresting the people who unfairly persecuted us, targeted us, and arrested us? So stay tuned. Hopefully you can bring some more friends, have them follow Freedom Talk at Real Freedom Talk on X and on Instagram, and have them visit realfreedomtalk.com. I have a new tab there. It's a weaponization against parents tab, and I am focused on this issue. However, I'm working on getting justice for all targeted Americans. So I'm one little voice. I'm looking for some friends and colleagues to come along with us and join on this. I'm going to look and see if there's some comments on some of the various social media. Oh, this is nice. Kelly, you've been fighting, representing us all for so long, and you do it with elegance and with eyes on God. Soldier on, my friend, from Lisa. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment. And I really have been doing this not to build a brand or build a business, but because people came to me and asked for help. So let's see. I don't see any other questions right now. I know we started this when a lot of people are working. So guys, have a good night. And thank you so much. Keep living your life, enjoying life as much as you can. But remember that Tina Peters still is in prison simply for doing her job and for questioning the integrity of the election, which a lot of us know was stolen. I might get kicked off YouTube live here for saying that, but who cares? For school parents who have been arrested, jailed, our lives have been made very, very difficult. We're starting all over again, lost our home, lost our savings and everything, not only because of what the government did to us, but because we personally have been fighting this and putting everything we have into it. So thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon.